What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to this week's Unbiased Hard Take. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into, a big show for you guys. Excited to get into it. As we know, college basketball is now officially over. Congratulations to Michigan on winning their national championship. We'll all react to Final Four as well as national championship. College basketball wrapped that up, as well as talk about Luka entering rehab, unfortunately for him, as well as talking about Luka Doncic's injury and how the 65-game rule should hold up in his instance. He's not special. So we're going to get into it, lots to get into. Stay tuned for more. You don't want to miss it. Lots to say today. Big show. What's going on, everybody? Again, I appreciate you guys for supporting the show, for tuning in weekly. Like I said, I wanted to get back onto the weekend track of doing videos, but of course, as we know, national championship in college basketball is played on Monday night, which makes no sense to me. That's something you should be doing on a Saturday night or a Friday night, in my opinion. You get better ratings. I know March Madness definitely doesn't have bad ratings, but it just doesn't seem very fan-friendly. That's just my opinion. So, of course, we're here doing a Tuesday evening show as of this recording, and we're going to plan on getting back. Again, I said this last week. I know, I said it last week. We're going to try to get back on schedule, back to the weekend podcast, back to the weekend shows. I'm actually going to try to do a mock draft special for the NFL draft coming up. So try to do that this weekend as well. I'll go live for that at some point. So keep an eye out for that. Before we get into it, I do want to remind you to like us on Facebook. Link to that will be in the description down below. We do a lot of coverage on Facebook. Sports Fact of the Day. I try to at least drop one other take other than Sports Fact of the Day. So daily content on Facebook and at least one video a week minimum on YouTube. Sometimes we do 2 or 3 depending on what sort of content's going on, things of that nature. But as we know, we're going to go ahead and jump right on into it. March Madness is over, and that means that football's over, college basketball's over, and the only thing left is the NBA. So the dark times are slowly creeping up on us, but we do still have college basketball to talk about today and professional basketball moving forward for the next few months. So no panicking yet. Dark times aren't here yet, but they are starting to make themselves known. But we have some celebrating to do because Michigan has been crowned the NCAA basketball men's champion after defeating UConn with a score of 69-63. And this national championship was really, I loved it. I watched the game. I actually had to record a bit of it, but ended up watching the recording of the part I could not see. And every bit of this game was just old school defensive basketball. And it really, the basketball purists, especially college basketball purists, had to have loved it because college basketball is just so much more, it's so much better than the NBA anymore. Like, the NBA, all they do is run around, shoot threes. They load managed. Half of them don't play half time because they're getting paid big money, so they don't need to play. Their money's coming in either way, so they load manage. A lot of them don't care about winning. Shooting threes, no defense. There's almost no mid-range shots in today's NBA. Like you see long twos in college. You don't see that in today's NBA. So college basketball is just on a way different level than what the NBA is because Michigan won the national championship and they only shot 13.3% from the three-point line. They made 2 threes. 2. If an NBA team did that, they would lose that game by 40, 50 points. Honestly, it doesn't even matter what team it is, who they're playing. It doesn't matter. If you're only making 2 threes on the NBA level, you're not winning any game, even against the Wizards, let alone a national or a competitive championship. And that's what makes college basketball so much better than the NBA. It's not three-point reliant. The three-point shots killed the NBA. I absolutely love what I seen. It was a defensive battle. I mean, and because of the defensive battle, you had players getting foul trouble, especially on the UConn side. It seemed like 3 or 4 of their players were in foul trouble early in the game. Michigan had a couple as well. But I was just really impressed on what Michigan was able to do to go out there and only shoot 13.3% from the three-point line and still win the national championship. Yenderberg, their best player, obviously was not 100%. I have stats here. He was almost shut out in the first half. He barely scored in the first half, ended up getting 13 points. But when your best player struggles like that, you're only shooting 13% from the three. This had recipe of disaster for Michigan all over the place. But yet it didn't happen. And I predicted on our Facebook page that Michigan would win this. I actually thought they would win by 10. They actually led by about, I think, 9 or 10 at one point. And then UConn did cut the lead. And this was just a really good, close game. 6-point game down the stretch. And there was a point in the second half I thought UConn might be able to have that little clutch factor. I was worried if it was a close game. UConn, Dan Hurley, been there before. Type of mentality, won a national championship, not new to the program, would be able to come up with a close win. That was my fear for Michigan, but Michigan proved me wrong on that one and was able to close them out and hit shots when it mattered, especially the free throws when it mattered. That's what they were able to do, and that's ultimately what makes a champion. It's how you respond when things aren't going well. How do you respond? Do you fold like a lawn chair, or do you overcome the adversity? I talk about that on this show all the time. Teams need to be able to overcome adversity. That's why I liked UConn. That's why both these teams were great. But Michigan proved why they are the best team in college basketball, and they deserve to be. And Johnson had a good day for Michigan as well, 12 points, 10 rebounds. Maya was a great shot blocker for Michigan. I think I counted 6 total blocks. I have it here. Yeah, 6 blocks total for Michigan in the game, more than UConn. And Michigan had 36 points in the paint. And mind you, they only scored 69 points. So literally around half of their points were in the paint. This was just old school 2005 basketball. Give it to the big man and play really good, intense defense. And I know that's not going to be popular with a lot of the casual fans, and that's fine. This wasn't for the casual fan. This was for your diehard, defensive-loving basketball purist. And it was a great national championship. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Just because there wasn't a lot of three-point shooting and a lot of high-scoring offense doesn't make this national championship bad. This was a great national championship. Like I said, for Michigan to only shoot 13.3% from the three-point line and still win, that's just amazing. And what Michigan did also to Arizona was just a different level. That was a different level. I actually predicted Arizona in our short video to win that game. And they got crushed. It was not close from the beginning to the end. I watched that game with JB at Wings, etc., and that game was just a blowout. It was an ass-kicking. And of course, that final score was 91-73. And the national championship last night was actually the first game Michigan has won in the March Madness that wasn't by 10 points or more. So this was the first time that they didn't blow them out. And what they did to Arizona just was... That's why I picked them in the national championship over UConn. I think Dan Hurley's a better coach. Was a better coach. And, I mean, obviously he has more national championships, but ultimately players win. And what Michigan did to Arizona was just... should have been illegal. There should be assault charges because they destroyed them. And UConn did struggle a bit against an Illinois team. They ended up winning by 9. But anyone who watched that game last night knows Michigan did not play nearly up to their potential and still won the game. And that's ultimately what matters. And really, we had a lot of good college basketball beyond the national championship because the NIT was a thing on Sunday night. And Auburn beat Tulsa 92-86. And I actually watched that game as well. And that game was probably even more entertaining than the national championship to a point. It was a little more high scoring, but at one point I say it was better because Auburn had a over 20-point lead on Tulsa, and Tulsa made a comeback. Both these teams were number 1 seed. This game actually went to overtime, and like I said, Tulsa overcame that 20-point deficit. I mean, a great game. The only game that was not good was the women's game, where UCLA just broke South Carolina, and that game was not close. And I actually think that may be a good thing in the long run, because as we know, South Carolina and UConn have dominated the women's field for a long time. And this is UCLA's first. So for UCLA to go in there and sort of break the trend, I know that it was a blowout, and that's not what you want to see, especially in a national championship. But that sort of broke the mold, and it's a lot of the NIL money. It's 100% the NIL money. Your Dukes, your North Carolina, those type of programs, big name Kentucky, big program schools aren't going to be able to get all the top recruits anymore, or like Alabama did in football, and Auburn did all them years. because now you're getting paid. So now it's sort of leveled the playing field for these less popular schools. And you're starting to see that. Like Michigan. Michigan's a football school. And they just won a national championship in basketball. I mean, IU won the national championship in football. And they're one of the most historically abysmal franchises in college sports history. And they just won a national championship. So the NIL's done a really good job of leveling the playing field out. Excuse me. Got some hiccups. But leveling the playing field out to where now you finally got players getting paid what they earned and what they deserved. Players in college basketball aren't going to the NBA draft early before they're ready. They're staying with the team. They're not one and dones anymore. You don't see guys going to the G League anymore on that garbage. You got guys being coached by real coaches and real offenses that play real defense. And ultimately, that's going to make the NBA better in the long run, too. Because now you sort of have kind of like the NFL does with college football. Sort of like a partnership farm league with them. Where they can develop the young guys, future generations. And that was a problem with the NBA for a while. And that's why you see less, that's why you've had a couple weak draft classes. And that's just reality. But ultimately, I really do think that the NBA should adopt college basketball's way of doing things. I think, as we know, the original way to play basketball is 2 20-minute halves. The NBA should go to that because we know these NBA players, they love their stats. They love to rack up them numbers. What's that going to do? It's going to cause more defense. It's going to cause more intensity. It's going to cause a faster paced game, not so much jacking up threes because players know they've cut the game down from an hour, 4 quarters, an hour, to 2 20-minute halves, 40 minutes. So now these players are going to have to work double as hard to get to the stats that they want, to drop 40, to drop 50, these numbers that they love so much. And the NBA just needs to go to the 1-and-1 foul system. They need to go to the 2 halves, 20-minute halves, because what college basketball has right now is perfect. And the NBA needs to adapt and grow and be willing to change a little bit. It's okay. If you change it to 2 20-minute halves in the NBA, that's probably a hot take. A lot of you guys probably don't want to hear that. But that would fix a lot of our load management. That would fix a lot. People say, oh, the season's too long. Oh, it's hard on the players. Well, if you make 2 20-minute halves, now you're playing less of a game. So your players are going to be running less throughout the season. Take that 20 minutes times 82 regular season games, and you have a lot less minutes on your back. Maybe that would have helped Luka stay healthy. Just saying. NBA needs to get in line and play proper, real basketball where they actually play defense. Do 1-and-1 fouls. Do that. Change it up to real basketball again. That would help NBA ratings and would catch the NBA up to the NCAA, in my opinion, because the NCAA is just, basketball is just 10 times better than the NBA. And the NBA needs to realize that issue and adapt. But I do want to move on a little bit. Again, congratulations to UConn as well. They made it to the national championship. But congratulations, Michigan, on winning their national championship. Won one in football a couple years back. I know JB's not too happy about it. He hates Michigan. And now we're going to have to hear a lot of Michigan fans talk about how they dominate football and basketball. And it's true. It's just true. And not anything anyone can say about it, because especially us Purdue fans. Because, I mean, Purdue had all the talent in the world, maybe even more talent than Michigan has, and couldn't get it done. I mean, Michigan didn't win the Big Ten. Purdue did. And Purdue beat Michigan to do it. So, that's just proof that I make a point right there. Just saying. But Matt Painter's not as serious, because we've already went to that conversation, though. We don't need that crash out again. Excuse me. Getting over the cough a little bit. This springtime weather's killing me. Killing me. But we are going to move on. I do want to jump over into the world of the NBA, where Luka Doncic is now out for the remainder of the regular season, and his status for the first round of the playoffs is up in the air, as is Austin Reeves. So it looks like it's going to be a 40-plus-year-old LeBron having to carry the Lakers, and that's just not going to happen. They're going to bounce the first round, and I honestly feel for LeBron a little bit. At this age in his career, he should not be having to carry anybody. but because of injuries, he's had to. And let's not act like Luka's the best in-shape player. He's not. He doesn't play defense. He's a cone on defense. And he's known to be a lot overweight, actually. Some of these pictures, you can Google it. He is extremely overweight, but he's a walking bucket. He's essentially this generation's Carmelo Anthony. But he's in the news because he only played in 64 games this season. Why does that matter? Because it takes 65 games to qualify for any major awards and any All-NBA selections. So now, because Luka was 1 game shy, that's funny, 1 game shy, he will no longer be eligible for the MVP race or any NBA All-Star or All-NBA team or any award of any kind. And I actually like that Adam Silver didn't flake on this one. I'm not a big fan of Adam Silver. The NBA was in better shape when David Stern was in charge. Adam Silver's a goofball. He's a doofus idiot. But I do like what he said, and he actually did double down on this 65-game rule that I really don't want to hear it. The NBA's had load management problems for years. Players sitting out. Like these people that pay tickets, that buying tickets to go see NBA games, pay good money to go see these NBA players, and what do they do when they get there? They rest. It's a slap in the face of the fans. So the NBA, in order to combat some of this load managing I just mentioned, brought up a rule and said you have to play 65 games. And if you don't, you're not eligible for awards. And you won't get some certain contract bonuses in your contract. You won't get these honors that'll help your case for the Hall of Fame and legacy. And I absolutely love that. I see Luka's going to file an appeal, but I mean, old people say, oh, it's only 1 game shy. Oh, you should just give it to him. No, absolutely not. The line has to be drawn somewhere. And it's at 65 games. It's not my fault Luka only played 64 and couldn't stay healthy and wasn't in good enough shape. He had a lot of minute usage rates. I understand that, but it's not our problem. I understand his stats this year are definitely MVP worthy. 33.5 points per game, 7.7 rebounds per game, 8.3 assists per game, and 1.6 steals per game. He's literally averaging more points than SGA, and SGA is averaging 31.4. So, I mean, Luka could have very well been the MVP, but this is someone needed to be made an example of. And it's Luka. A big-name player needed to be made an example of, and the NBA needs to put their foot down and say, no, you guys have a load management problem. Stop resting in the regular season. And then once you actually get hurt, once an injury really happens, this won't be a problem because you're not taking nights off in November or December simply because you're tired or don't want to go out there and play a game of basketball for a living for millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Cry me a river, give me a break, and shut the fuck up. If you cannot play 65 games out of 82 games, you don't deserve to be the MVP because you're injury prone. Availability is the best ability. And I would rather have an MVP player who played 70 games, 75 games, than someone who can barely crack 65. That's all I'm saying. I mean, because Wemby this year is averaging 24.8 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, but 3.1 blocks per game. He's possibly the MVP. SGA, we talked about 41.4 points a game, 4.4 rebounds a game, 6.5 assists, and 1.4 steals per game. So this MVP candidacy was really a 3-man race, and it was really close. And Luka really had a chance to win this thing. But I mean, I hate to see a player get injured, obviously, but it is good to see the NBA actually buckling down and fixing some of this crap that the NBA players are doing. Because this load management, this sitting nights out, and it just bit Luka in the butt. And it's called karma. You sit out enough games, you don't stay in shape, eventually it's going to bite you. And now it's going to cost Luka possibly the MVP and definitely an NBA all-team selection. So, that's all I got. I mean, that's just the reality. Availability is the best ability. Your MVP should be out there playing at least 70 games. That's why Joel Embiid's MVP is really an asterisk MVP. It's a garbage MVP. No one thinks Joel Embiid is the best player in the NBA or ever really has been. He's injury prone. And him getting the MVP is why this rule exists. Because players like that, who don't play half the time, should not be eligible for bigger rewards. They should not be rewarded for sitting out games. I'm sorry. When I don't feel good, I still have to go up and go to work. These nurses, doctors, military people, a normal adult has to get up and go to work and actually work a physical, real job. These guys can get up and play 82 games a year for millions and millions of dollars and play a game of basketball. If you can't do that for 82 games a year, then you don't deserve it, and you need to get in better shape. And we all know Luka needs to get in better shape because he needs to drop some of that beer and actually start working out. And it's the basketball gods, because if you don't put the work in, they'll make you pay. And it's really, I think it's hilarious. Luka is 1 game shy away from being eligible for awards. And that's awesome. It's not awesome he got injured. It's not awesome with the circumstances. But karma's a bitch. And it got a hold of Luka. And that's all I'm saying. Availability is the best ability. I'll say it again. But I do want to move on to our final topic here, where we're going to talk a little bit of the NFL. NFL is sort of a very dead sport right now. We are very much in the dark times of the NFL. NFL draft's coming up here in a few weeks, but free agency's over, combine's over, all that stuff's over. Coaching carousel. There's really not a lot going on in the NFL. So we're going to talk about Puka Nacua entering rehab. And this is extremely unfortunate because Puka's a 24-year-old receiver. As we know, he's one of the best receivers in the league. Over 1,700 yards last year, 2nd year in the league. And people are saying, oh, it's surprising. I don't necessarily think it is. The writing's been on the wall for a while. We've seen articles come out saying he's had some issues. There was a video of him out where he was doing the little this thing, and he got some hate for that, saying not to do that as a touchdown celebration. So he's been in the media for some not so good things over the last year. But it's extremely unfortunate to see a younger individual go through an issue like this. Of course, I don't know if it's drug or alcohol related. That's none of my business. But I feel like this is all something everyone can relate to a point. Just struggling as a young person, trying to find your way in life as a young 20-year-old man, trying to figure it out. And then you add on the fact that he's an NFL player, famous, rich, so you know he's getting all the attention from, like, really everybody. He can get any woman he wants. He can go out there and buy anything he wants. All these people will do anything for him. Rich, famous, successful guy. And you put him in Los Angeles. Mind you, he's from the state of Utah. Utah's like the most Midwest, like cornfield type stuff you've ever seen. There's no big city in Utah. It's small town, country, yeehaw living. So you take a kid like that, who's from that environment, like Midwest sort of environment, hillbilly world, and then you drop, because he went to Washington University and BYU also. So let's not act like those are massive party schools. Then you drop him in Los Angeles, one of the biggest cities in the world, a party city, and you drop a 20-something-year-old NFL player who's got all the money in the world, all the riches. I mean, not to sound gay here or anything, but I mean, he's a relatively decent-looking guy, in shape, young, athletic, talented, successful, and he's from Utah. And you take some, imagine this, taking a suburban country kid and dropping him in Los Angeles and expecting him not to fail. To a point, we almost expect too much of athletes, and then people are already making jokes about him being in rehab, saying, oh, Tiger Woods probably drove him there. Yeah, you know, these people belly laughing at that one, writing that one out, if they can spell it correctly. But it's sort of sad because not only is he struggling with some sort of addiction, but now it's a public affair. Everyone in the world knows about that also. And that can't be good for your mental health either. So you can't even get your mind right in private. Now every little mistake you do is going to be under the microscope. And the writing was on the wall, because, I mean, you've seen mock drafts the last few months where the reports also say that the Rams are going to be interested in a receiver. But that doesn't make any sense because Davante Adams is still a beast, one of the best touchdown receivers in the league last year, double-digit touchdowns. And Puka Nacua was maybe the best receiver in the league when he's sober. And hopefully this isn't one of those like Josh Gordon cases to where it ends up derailing his career. I hope Puka is able to come out of it okay. I pray for Puka as a Christian. I've had issues of my own in the past. We all have. So we got to sort of put ourselves in other people's shoes to a point and giving them the respect they deserve. I mean, he's a young guy. It's not like he went out and broke the law and got arrested. He didn't. He entered rehab, and he's getting roasted for it. And it's sort of sad. I just hope that God can help him get better and that he can do the right steps in his life. And hopefully he has a good supporting system around him in order to get his mind right as well. So I pray for Puka. Hope it all works out for him. But we got to sort of admit that we expect a lot out of pro athletes. We really do. They're young, in their early 20s. I know how I was in my early 20s. I partied a lot more than I should have. And then you take probably most of us have. A lot of us have probably done that at some point in our life. And then put yourself back in that shoes, and then give yourself the LA atmosphere, the LA resources, the LA money and fame and riches and success on top of all of that. We all would be in the same boat, or at least most of us would be. And we sort of need to emphasize a little bit that he is a young guy, and we need to sympathize with him a little bit. Because, I mean, he's a young fella. And hearts out to Puka and his family. Hope you get better. Hope everything works out for you. And I expect to see you on the field this year, balling it out like always. And hopefully on my fantasy team doing so. But that's all I got for today's Unbiased Hard Take. Again, we really appreciate support from you guys. Again, subscribe on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Our Facebook link will be down below. Well, a lot of our videos hit K. They hit K. It's not abnormal anymore for that to happen. I remember the first one happening, and I freaked out when it happened. And now it can be one every other video, 2 in a row. At least once a month we're having videos hit K. So we want to see those views, turn in subscribers. So please subscribe. We really appreciate support from you guys. March Madness is over. Our bracket didn't do too good, around 65%, but that's a passing grade. 65% is a D, and D stands for diploma. So the Unbiased Hard Take March Madness bracket was not perfect, but it did get a passing grade with a D, so we'll take it. So until next time, go Pack go. Let's go Heat, and bowl her up, baby. Look for some more content this week. We're pushing it out, baby.